We'll call a meeting to order. Becky, would you do a roll, please?
Gotcha, okay. Mike Copine,
Here.
Keen Hudson,
Present.
Katie White, Angie Shippert. Here. Mike Pearson. Can you hear us, Mike?
Present.
Okay, thank you.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Sounds better that way than it does here, Mike.
Oh, boy. Can I start off with one quick note here? Here in a
Only if
little
it's
bit,
quick.
I may have to turn off my video, set my phone down, deal with a patient, and then come back.
That's fine.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys.
Sure, thank you. Okay, anybody in the public? You got anything you'd like to bring up? No? Anything you want to throw at us or anything, you know? No. Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, did everybody have a chance to take a look at last month's meeting minutes? Any changes or corrections to be made? If not, they stand approved as read. Okay, we'll go into department reports. Animal control. Anything in specific? Terry, I have,
I don't have anything, sorry. That was
okay,
too loud.
that's all right. I have one question that has come up over the last couple of months, and it's dealing with the infamous cat situation in Lee County. I understand that animal tax tags are purchased for cats.
Correct.
If I'm out of line, tell me, but where do those funds go after the taxes are collected for cats?
Same as the dogs, that it's all the same. So depending on if the animal is spayed or neutered, there's a certain portion that goes to pet population if the animal is not altered. That goes to pet population to help with low, people that are on disability or on food stamps. Those people can get a voucher from us and get their animal spayed or neutered. The rest of that money goes into county general, I believe.
I'm not trying to stir anything up, but I've had this question on my mind ever since I had dealings with a cat that got ran over south of Dixon here. Nothing is done for cats, as far as I know, other than neutering them or whatever the circumstances are. They don't come out to control the cat population. There's nothing that's applied to the cat end of it. I don't know if they're not an animal or what the circumstances are, but if we're collecting taxes for those, why aren't they handled in a similar nature as the dogs?
As far as
20 cats coming out of a garage in somebody's house, 20 or 30 cats being housed in somebody's house.
correct. So by state statute, the only thing that we can do is talk to someone, the owner or the caretaker that's feeding these animals, and ask them, hey, we have this program, can we start getting some cats fixed to help control the population? Now, mind you, the pet population did not occur overnight. A lot of these animals, these cats have not been spayed or neutered. Some of them are, like, people are feeding them, but they may not be able to be caught. They would have to be trapped. So we do work with people as far as that goes. We try to talk them into spaying and neutering. But other than that, if there's a dead cat someplace, we do go pick it up, just like dog. We pretty much do the same thing with cats as we do dogs. It's just we see an overabundance of cats.
I have one question on the vaccination program, I guess. So if let's say dogs are around or you're aware that the owner has them, do they have to be vaccinated or have shots and stuff like that?
Yes.
So does that apply to cats as well?
Yes, an owned cat, So if someone owns a cat that is in their house, mostly, are the ones that will get the registration. If they're outdoor cats, they can be considered feral or barn cats.
Mm-hmm.
So those people, if they take cats in to be spayed or neutered, they have to get a vaccine, rabies vaccine. But after that, they don't necessarily have to. It's not required.
So it just depends the rule and why it might be different cats to dogs is if all those cats are outside versus in the owner's home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Sure.
Terry, I've got a question that's been brought to my attention by people. I know there's this feral cat issue is not a new one,
Right.
but since a new law is, people cannot openly cage or trap them, correct?
Yeah, so it's against the law to trap a feral cat and just take it wherever and dump it, basically. They can trap them to be spayed or neutered. I don't know what Dixon's rules are as far as traps being set out. I've heard different things. But yeah, I mean, if they're gonna spay or neuter, they can certainly trap them to get that done.
This is an issue that people are saying that the feral cat issue is not created by them. It's created by others. So back to the point. So in order to trap them, first of all, they have to notify your office or DNR.
So it depends on what they're gonna do with them. So
I guess my question
some
comes.
people think that, sorry, Keen. So some people think that they can just trap these animals and take them and they're going to be rid of the issue. That's not how that works. They're going to have other cats come in the area because they're not fixed. There's somebody in the area that is leaving food out for either cats, their outdoor cats or whatever. And if they leave it out at night, they're going to have coons coming. So we try to educate people, if you're going to feed your outside cats, don't leave it out at night. And if, like I said, if there's an overabundance, we try to I don't have a trap and release right now. We were going to start doing that and then some things changed with some
Okay.
members and.
Well, I guess the question is like people say, and I understand the ordinance and the law here, but they're saying basically, if I do trap them legally, then it's my responsibility to have them neutered. Now, I think anybody can understand there's not too many people who are going to put the expense out of their pocket
Correct.
to take care. And I understand the neutering, it should be done by the people who are providing the so-called
Food source.
food to these animals. But I don't know how we're going to solve this issue, but it's been brought to my attention. And, especially with the male cats, we all know what they run around the homes and everything. And this is
Right.
becoming an issue. And I just said, I thought I'd address it and see maybe something we can work on. I don't know, but it's an issue that, I mean, I believe in humane treatment of these animals. I don't believe, whatever, but it's just, we have it's fact that, indigent people, which I understand then the state or county will pay for that issue. But other people are going to say, why should I pay? I have no idea what the cost would be for this to rid a problem I've got created by others.
Mm-hmm. I had some things on my mind. So if there's areas, and like I said, a few years ago, somebody had said, and I don't know, this is what they told us, that we could do like a feral cat colony, but somebody has to be a manager or a caretaker of these cats. And it's kind of a lot of work. You have to keep track and you have to, set the traps and all this kind of stuff. And I think somebody was told here in town that they were going to be the responsible party, like if the cat bit or cat, whatever. And I think that kind of went to the wayside. So, and I know that there's problems in all towns, not just, here. And I would be willing to work with whoever to try to get this started. But the first step, of course, is going to be getting these animals altered. That's going to be the first step, because you need to stop these females from having 10 kittens, So that's the first step.
Well, I appreciate that, and I thank you. I just wanted, because it was brought to my attention, something to throw out there that we can think about and maybe work out a game plan here on this issue. It's mostly, rural is not a problem, but this is occurring in the subdivisions
Yeah.
where you got more homes and everything. So this is where my issues are coming up.
I have, actually, Pawpaw took it upon herself a few years ago. She's been trapping cats in Pawpaw, and we help her here and there with some vouchers. But she will trap cats, and now when they are trapped in the spay-neuter program, they are to be taken back to the same area where they were found, right? So you're still going to have the cats in the area. They're not going to disappear, but they're going to be altered. So you're not going to have multiplication of cats. But she took it upon herself, like they do, like bake things, baked goods, and they sell them. So they raise money to pay to have these cats altered. And so she will go around town and trap, of course she talks to people. She traps them, and then she'll take them and have them spayed, neutered, and take them back. So, and there's not too many places that offer a whole lot of help when it comes to doing them in kind of a lower cost. I think that's a big problem.
Yes.
Big problem.
Do we know if there's any grants available for that kind of thing across the state?
There probably is. In fact, I think there's a grant that you can apply for that you can use it toward anything. I'm not a grant writer, but I could certainly look into some if, someone is willing to help with writing it.
Yeah, I think there's some different organizations that could help us that do grant writing, if we can find some.
Yeah. And I'm not sure that legally I could take that out of pet population money. I'd have to check into that.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. Is there any way to change, the structure wording so that these caretakers that are providing food to these feral cats, that it could be you are providing, it is your responsibility?
So it really does say that. So if they are the caretaker, they are the legal person to care for that animal. It's a matter of, I can't make them spay or neuter. That's the problem. And I can't make that, I don't think I can make that. I can make more to the state statute, but I can't make it less. And nothing is saying that I can make people spay or neuter.
Yeah.
We can educate, but
Any other questions for Terry? Okay, thank you, Terry. Appreciate it.
Gosh, Terry, it's so good to see you. You haven't been here in months.
sorry, I know. It's not been good time for me here the last few months, my daughter and everything, so.
After today, it might be a few more months.
That's what I was getting at, Mike, is she's been so welcomed here today. Although actually it is great to hear the questions. These are
It
things
is.
Terry is always trying to educate people about this. So questions are a good opportunity to educate.
I just wasn't prepared for so many, but that's okay.
At least on the same subject.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Amy's not here.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Shannon Langloss for Amy Johnson.
All right, go ahead. I'm
We don't
sorry.
have anything to report, but if you guys have any questions, I can try to answer them.
We'll let you off the hook.
All right,
Okay.
sounds good.
Any questions at all? All right. Thank you. Okay, judges, nothing. Emergency Management Agency, Mr. Lally.
Good morning. I left a set of notes with each of you on what's been going on in my office in the last about 20 days. It's been pretty hectic, as I think everybody's aware, but the thing I want you to be aware of today is please encourage people not to burn outside. It's dry. It's going to be windy, not severe winds. It's just going to be windy. And we've already had an issue in the Amboy area with somebody uncontrolled burn outside, got away and burned a building down. So just keep that in mind that for right now, just refrain from burning if possible. We don't have an ordinance in the county that we can enforce that, but it's just a great suggestion from the National Weather Service not to burn right now.
We did have a second fire, home fire this morning that totaled the home.
Yeah,
but-
they've had 4 fires within 34 hours. Those poor guys in Amboy are just
Correct.
about whipped. So
I'm not sure what the details were on the house fire, other than doesn't,
that's probably the other suggestion I could make. If you don't have a smoke detector, buy one. 2 of those residential fires from Amboy did not have smoke detectors in their house, and they were woken up, luckily, either by breaking glass or the smell of smoke. So that usually doesn't happen. So
anybody have any questions for Kevin?
I just had one question on bullet point number 5. It says opened EOC virtually and had disaster declaration. I just didn't know what the EOC is.
Emergency Operations Center,
Okay.
my office, yeah.
Okay, so you opened it. What does that mean, I guess?
It means I start to get people together in preparation for this severe weather and make sure we're all on the same page. I sent out an email to all those agencies involved that if we have severe weather, that the highway department's prepared to clear roads. The sheriff, he's on top of it all the time anyway. Kind of reminders as to Red Cross if we need to house people, that they're available, and how to contact us and how to be in touch. So it
Okay.
used to be everybody used to come into the room, and anymore with severe weather and technology, it's virtual's the way to go now.
Okay, thank you.
We have Zoom, we have WebEx, and that's how we communicate with the state is through WebEx. So we can have a WebEx on one screen, a Zoom on the other screen, and communicate with all these people.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Kevin? Okay, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. I did tell Kevin, it looks like he does have eyeballs. I saw him about 2 or 3 days ago after the last couple of weeks of the bad weather that we've had, and he's been on the go pretty much nonstop. I caught him one day when he was over evaluating the east side of the county, and he found out what some of the twilight zone really looked like. Okay, probation. Stacy.
Just a reminder, we have Veterans Treatment Court graduation set for tomorrow. It is at 3:30. I think I had said that it was at 4 o'clock at the county board meeting. It's actually at 3:30. They moved the time on me. So if you would like to be there, just make a note of that. We would be glad to have you at the graduation. You have heard me talk for quite a while about our management information system. We are finally getting ready to make the move to that. It's a new system for all of our data and all of our records. We should be moving to that program in the month of June. We've got a little bit of training that we're going to be getting scheduled in the month of May for all of us to make that move. But everything will convert over into a new system, so this will be a change for us. This will only be our 3rd different system in as many years as I've been here, so we don't make a lot of changes with this, but when we do, boy, this is it's a learning task to get this all figured out and to understand it completely. And another thing that I would just like to make a note on, and I will do it at finance also, I'm just mentioning it. My dependent children's fund, I have a balance or a budget of about 27,000 in that account. I'm about 11,000 in already. The month of April, I'm probably going to have an invoice for about $7,000. This fund is used to detain minors when they are arrested in the community and not deemed to remain in the community. So instead of having them in jail, we send them to a detention facility that we contract with. We cannot put them in the jail by law, by statute. So they have to go to a specific facility for juveniles. Our per diem per day for that is $175 per minor. Right now, I've got 2 minors that are there. They'll likely be there through the entire month of April and possibly into May as well. But that's just kind of a heads up as to where I'm going. I think by the end of April, I'm going to be at about $19,000 spent with my $27,000 that I've been allocated. So it may come to a point where I may be requesting more money for that fund. And that is one of my very few funds that the county puts money into. Most everything in my department is paid through probation service fees.
Excuse me, are those expenses determined by the state of Illinois as far as the daily amounts?
That daily amount is set by the Kane County Juvenile Justice Center. So each detention facility could set their own per diem. We have to use a little bit of caution when we determine where we're going to be housing these minors, because it's the sheriff's department and the local police departments that transports these kids back and forth. So we're looking for places that are as close to us as possible. And also, they do have a very reasonable cost for each day too.
Which one is our currently the closest one for us for Lee County? Which one, is it Rockford or?
Kane County is the
Kane County.
closest, yeah. Winnebago County does have a detention facility, but they are full with their own kids. The next closest is going to be Peoria. That's where we used to go. But it's a jaunt to get there. It was more miles, not significantly, but it took a lot more time for the sheriff's department to be going all the way down there and all the way back. So we transferred to Kane County about 5-6 years ago, and it's a much easier drive in and out.
Okay, thank you, Stacy. Anybody else have any
I had a
questions?
question.
Go ahead.
So annually is 2 normal, is 0 normal? Like what's normal for that?
We've been seeing a trend for the last 3 years that this amount is increasing. There was a period of time where it was very low. Ever since COVID, we've been seeing an uptick with the number of juveniles that we are detaining. Their offenses are much more significant, so that's part of it as well.
Okay, so depending on the offense is why they would need to go there versus being in our own community.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Question for you. Is it ever possible to be reimbursed by the families
It
of
is.
these
and that-
minors?
Yes, it is. And that is something that we've been doing also. We just had a family that was making a payment every month, I think since about 2010. And they just got that bill paid off entirely. And then we've also have 2 other families that are making payments for reimbursement as well. So when that payment comes in, that goes into County General.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anything else for Stacy? Okay, thank you, Stacy. Appreciate it. Sheriff, you're up.
Well, as you all know, we had a lively week last week with severe thunderstorms. It started out that Friday, March 31st, that evening. Kevin did a very good job at providing us with the National Weather Service's assessment and letting us know what to expect. We had multiple power lines, structures damaged, trees down. That evening, we had 48 calls for service, which is about 4 times the amount that we would normally have. There was a section, we had a little hiccup with IDOT. There were several power poles along 52 south of Sublette that were taken out. Poles were leaning over, the wires were over the roadway. It was only one lane was passable. We requested IDOT to shut the road down. They showed up on scene and said it's not our problem, it's ComEd's problem. So I got involved. The Sublette Deputy Fire Chief contacted me. We made some phone calls and we got that remedied. They came out and closed 52 because then they had to, it took ComEd at least 2 days to repair all those poles. So, and they expected Sublette Fire just to stay there and man blocking the road, which was untenable. So I believe we had 2 confirmed tornadoes that night, Kevin. An EF2 south of Amboy, an EF1 that was in West Brooklyn that took the roof off the bank in West Brooklyn. Then following up on Tuesday, we had some more severe storms that came through the area. That afternoon, we had 3 semis blow over on their sides. one on Route 30 near Harmon Road, one on Route 88 west of 26, and another one on Route 38 near Red Brick Road. We also had multiple power poles broken again on Route 2 just north of Lost Nation Road, where they had to bring in at least a dozen crews from ComEd to get that fixed. On Thursday, I accompanied Lee County Health Department to the old motel at Route 251 and 30. The actual address is 1204 Route 251. That was posted by the health department as uninhabitable, and we are trying to work with the gentleman there to make sure he's not staying there. That's all I got.
Anybody have any questions for the sheriff?
Thanks for getting that posted.
You bet.
Yeah. I had a quick question, Chair. With the tornadoes, do we keep any sort of database on weather like that, like reoccurrence? Are there hotspots around the county that are more frequent than others for being hit by a tornado?
I would defer to Kevin, but I don't think there's any more hot spots around the county per se that gets hit more often. I think Dixon being in the valley with the river avoids most of the tornadoes since it's lower lying.
No, you're right, Sheriff. There's nothing that attracts it. If you look back at tornado paths, they always differ. They don't seem to go the same way every time. We've had tornadoes that have entered the county from the northwest and went to the southeast. We've had tornadoes from the southeast going to the northwest, all different tracks. So it really doesn't make any difference. It depends on the weather conditions that day. You can go to the National Weather Service website, look back at historical data. So if you're interested to see all those paths, they have those up there right now for the most recent storms, but you can go back, I think it's to 1950, and see every tornado that was in the state of Illinois and its path and its destruction and its EF rating. So.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Sheriff. Mr. Boonstra, State's Attorney's Office. You're up.
Yes, sir. Not too much to report to you. We continue to truck through cases that are provided to us through the local law enforcement. Thank you, Sheriff. We are also setting trials going through, I believe we're at June now, some leading into September, depending on the attorney's availabilities. Still working with probation and the various offices around the county through the pretrial services issues that have gone to the Supreme Court. Still waiting for them to issue an opinion as to where we're going to end up with the bond reform. So sit tight and wait for that one. Again, working through the abandoned property stuff, the decrepit properties. I feel as though that I have a lot of contact with county board members throughout the month. So if any of this is repetitive, I apologize. Any questions that I can have answered for you, I'm certainly happy to do so. Otherwise, the only things that I have for you is probably just the updates on the collections.
Any questions for Mr. Boonstra? Okay, thanks, Charlie. Okay, the next topic coming up deals with the focus group and the abandoned buildings, and I'm going to enlist the assistance of Wendy. I'll start the ball rolling if I can. We met the 4th was the date, okay? And it was a group meeting between the Sheriff's Department, State's Attorney's Department, the Health Department, and representatives from those areas. Excuse me. Also, DNLs were present from the zoning department. And there was discussion regarding placing properties in the proper perspective as far as what actions were to be taken and a sequence of events. And somewhat the decision was reached that it's difficult to place a property, I guess, maybe in the right criteria or at the right level without taking a lot of extenuating circumstances into place. So it's difficult to take 6 properties and put them in line as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 without getting the involvement of almost every department that we have out there to help make that decision. So it's going to be as a needed basis. So as Dee has made up the list in zoning, she's got a real good lineup of the next sequence of events to take place as far as abandoned properties or properties that we need to address. So moving on from that, do you have any questions in reference to that? Okay, it is a work in progress and continues to be in progress. We did add another property or have stepped up making contacts on property, and that's being the old Lee County Nursing Home down on Eldina Road, or also known as the infirmary. I've made a couple of passes by that, and that property has been there. It's been there as long as I was on the sheriff's department, and it's still there. It is in deplorable, uninhabitable situation, and there's going to be an attempt made by sending a letter to the current property owner to ask them to step up and do something. The back southeast corner of the facility is collapsing from the top down through the second or third floor. And then there's another building off on the northeast corner that the roof is caved in on. And just adjacent to that facility is a housing area that there are children or grandchildren that are present during the times of summer vacation or school outages or whatever. And we've kind of stepped up a little bit, but we're going to try to start with a letter first and give the property owner the opportunity to step up and get something done with the property, whether it's put a fence around it, post it, or whatever. Charlie, do you have anything to add along that line?
No, I think you summarized it pretty well. Obviously, one of the things we talk about when we're meeting on these properties is what approach can we take to work with either the owner of the property, the citizens that are here in Lee County, to make sure that we're not, for quote unquote, doing the nuclear option of just trying to take properties over and pushing people out. We want them to be a participant in the community. We want them to be able to fix these issues that are coming up, the abatement process. And obviously, there's procedures the county can take through liens, through forcing the hand of the owners to be able to provide financial assurances for the buildings. But for some of this stuff, when it comes to delinquent taxes as well, there's not a lot of options when we don't have contact with the owners, and we kind of have to go down that road and figuring out how we're going to mitigate and abate the issues that come along with those properties. But I think for the most part, you categorize that pretty well.
Okay, Wendy, would you like to add anything?
I think you covered it very well. Also, I don't know that I have anything to add. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? There are other properties that we have activities started on. We are looking at the property at 251 and 30, making decisions on which way to go there. We've tentatively looked at expenditures there. If we end up having to take further action on that particular facility, we're talking thousands of dollars as far as any demolition, and we're going to try to avoid that if at all possible and let the property owners take care of it themselves. Terry?
I do have a question. As far as proving that he's living there, I mean, would a picture, do you want, we go by there all the time because we live over that way, but is there something that we can do as people, I mean, especially us here that work for the county, to like notify you guys that, yes, we've seen someone there? I mean, how would that help any, or does that not matter?
It seemed, I've been by there periodically on the weekends, and it looks as though the majority of the time being spent there is anywhere from Saturday through Tuesday. Pictures are good. It's always a good source of evidence that it's being, and somebody's staying there. Charlie, correct me if I'm going in the wrong direction, but I think right now it's going to be addressed by the health department and will probably within a reasonable period of time be posted uninhabitable. I think we can get cooperation from the gentleman. I have talked to him on one or two occasions, not dealing with any of this activity or anything yet, because I want everything to be, or we want everything to be coordinated
Right.
and organized when that takes place.
Okay.
So shortly, I would say that it will be posted uninhabitable.
Okay.
Unless the sheriff would have anything to add to that as far as evidence or proof. I mean,
It was posted as uninhabitable on Thursday. last
was it?
Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I knew that action was going to take place. I wasn't going to commit a time element to it. So there have been contacts made with family members that are not in the current area. Now, whether the gentleman that's staying there has, well, I'm sure he has seen it now. I'll know probably in another week or two, I'll be going up that way again. But if you want to just make a note that, little red cars there or whatever, it's pretty well known that, I mean, I know most of the time who's driving that, so. But it does help. Any other questions on that? Okay, if not, we'll move on. Anybody have anything to bring up under unfinished business at all? Any questions on something that's in the makings, or? Wendy, do you have anything that you'd?
I
like
do
to-
not.
Okay. New business? I don't have anything to bring up. Wendy or anybody else have anything on new business?
I do not have anything else to add.
And-
Question.
Yes,
Last month, we kind of sent things to say, okay, let's move that, let the state kind of make the decision on, I guess it was the voting, say out at the prisons. Is that something that we could revisit?
no.
Nope.
Not,
Okay.
not to my belief, Mike, that, and Wendy or Charlie, correct me if I'm out of line. I think we covered that pretty well the last time. Just, it isn't at this point, isn't a county board issue. However, Kelly and Taylor in Springfield are monitoring the movement or the action of that. And if they feel that it's going to fall within a county board parameter or an interest to the county boards, they will definitely be the first people to let us know.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. for me.
Sure, sure. Okay, anything else? If not, Charlie, do we have anything for executive session? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move.
So moved by Mr. Hudson.
I'll second.
Seconded by Angie. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.